It's game time and I'm up one.
How many bottles of product? So we're about building relationships. So I'm a team of Glossy, the fastest growing brands for detailing products, chemicals, and coatings in the world.
Hey guys, congratulations and welcome to our DIY video on step-by-step on how to properly apply a ceramic coating. Now behind me I have a 2001 M5. This car is over 22 years old and we just acquired it for the Glossy Garage, and I thought what better vehicle than to work on an older vehicle, because I know a lot of you guys are going to be questioning, does this work on older cars, not just new cars? And I'm going to show you step by step, so let's get started. Okay guys, it's time to get started. I'm excited. I'm going to show you step by step on how to apply a professional ceramic coating. Today we're going to be using our DIY graphene ceramic coating. This is fantastic because not only does it contain the highest amount of resin of SiO2, but also it has the best graphene component, and there's been a lot of controversy out on YouTube. Does graphene work? Well, we've tested it on thousands of cars and I can tell you it does. So let's go over some of the essentials. The first thing you want to do is pick up some isopropyl alcohol, or we call IPA. This is essential because the alcohol and water is going to clean the finish and get it squeaky clean. It's going to clean polishing residue, oils, or any contamination that could be sitting on the finish. That's super important before you apply the coating. Also, you're going to be wanting to use our 16-ounce gloss enhancer detail spray. This has been a game changer in the professional detailing industry for leveling not just our coating or any coating quickly, okay? Also, you're going to want to make sure you have either a SUEDE block or a microfiber applicator so you can apply the coating to. Make sure you check them before you use them. And you want to make sure you pick up some latex gloves. This is super important so you don't actually get the coating on your hands or on your skin. And I highly recommend using an 80-20 microfiber towel. And you're probably saying, well, how many towels would I need to do a whole car? Well, I'm going to tell you you're going to need anywhere from 6 to 12 microfiber towels to do a complete car. Now, CLAYBAR is super important. A CLAYBAR has been around for a long time, and a CLAYBAR removes surface contamination. And I just want to be clear, a CLAYBAR will not take out scratches or swirl marks. It's not built to do that. That's not the purpose of a CLAYBAR. Now, the CLAYBAR is part of what we call decontamination. Why is this important? Because your car will get surface contamination such as tar, metal particles, fallout, tree sap, any contamination from sitting outside or from the elements of the road. Now, you want to make sure that you take time. As you see here in the video, we're showing that you can either use soap or water, or you can use our gloss enhancer as a lubricant and our mild aggressive CLAYBAR. Now, if you don't have this CLAYBAR, what I recommend is you get online, you go to a website that has reputable detail products, or you can go to glossy.com, and you want to pick up a CLAYBAR. It's super important. And when you're done with the CLAYBAR, you're going to throw it away. Now, one thing I want to point out is if you drop the CLAYBAR on the ground, make sure you throw it away. Do not use it because you will cause serious damage and the coating will not be able to be applied to the vehicle. Okay guys, now we're ready to get started and actually apply the coating. So the first thing you want to do is grab some latex gloves and make sure that you get these gloves put on. This is super important so you don't get the SiO2 resin actually on your skin. These are a little tight. This is the largest glove I could actually find. Believe it or not, this is an extra large glove. I recommend you get 2 gloves just in case. All right, now we've got our latex gloves on. We've got our graphene coating. We've got our SUEDE block. We have our microfiber towel and our gloss enhancer. And I do need to grab the alcohol water. Now, this is a good question people ask me. If I'm going to use this as an IPA wipe down before I apply the coating, what should I cut? What should be the mixture? So let's say this is a 16-ounce bottle. I recommend using anywhere from like 20 to 30% rubbing alcohol. And I would use bottled or distilled water. Do not use tap water, because if you use tap water, it's gonna have minerals and calciline, and that can actually cause you issues when applying the coating. So this is an important step. So we're gonna be using the mixture of alcohol and water. Okay, so right now I've got a very nice LED light behind me. You don't need an expensive or fancy LED light to do this, but here's some things that I recommend. Make sure you do this in your garage or a closed space where there's no wind or debris or anything flying around, because we don't want that to get into the coating. So it's super important that you have a nice clean space. Now sometimes here at Glossit at night when I'm testing and building the products, I like to come in, turn a little bit of music on, make sure that you have a bottle of water as you're doing the coating so you can hydrate, especially here in Las Vegas, it's really hot. And we're gonna get started. I'm gonna actually show you how much of the graphene that I'm actually gonna apply to the microfiber applicator. And I'm also gonna show you the technique on how I get my coverage and how I use a crosshatch technique in order to get it on the panel. So let's get started. All right guys, I'm stoked. We're about to get started. I've got my alcohol and water, I've got my gloss enhancer detailer, I've got my blade, I've got my microfiber suede block, I've got my coating, and I've got my towels. So what we're gonna be doing here is I've got this LED light behind me so I can get perfect coverage. As you can see here, this is the rear quarter on the driver's side of the vehicle. So what I'm gonna do first is take my alcohol and water. I'm gonna take a brand new towel. I highly recommend do not use pre-used towels. Go ahead and buy new towels to get the best results, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna fold our towel into a perfect square, as you can see here, okay? And we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna clean this panel with the alcohol water first. And don't be afraid to use this. Now this is gonna work just like a quick detailer, just like a gloss enhancer, right? And you're gonna make sure that when you're cleaning the panel, that you make slow left to right overlapping motions to make sure that you're cleaning it thoroughly and the alcohol and water is stripping any kind of residue or oils that could be sitting on the paint still. And then you're gonna flip your towel to the dry side and then you're gonna rebuff, okay? And like I said before, I'm assuming that you've already prepped the panel, you've already clay barred it, you've already polished it if it had swirl marks or scratches. So now we're gonna move on to the ceramic coating. Okay, now there's three sides to this applicator. So people ask me, can you do a whole car with one of these applicators? Yes, you can. But if you were to walk away and put this applicator down and come back 60 minutes later, the side of the block that you apply the coating to, it's gonna be rock hard. So make sure that you don't reuse this sponge for the panels that you've already applied coating to. So let's get started. So as you guys are gonna see here in the video, I'm gonna be generous with the coating and I'm gonna do a straight line, right? As you can see here, on the applicator, that's enough product to do a fender or a door, because what we want to do is we're going to work a section by section. I want to make it really clear, guys, you do not want to do the whole car and then remove it. It's super important. When people ceramic coat, it's not like waxing or polishing your car where you can go around, leave the polish on and then remove it in a couple hours. You're going to have a limited time frame in order, once you put it on, between putting it on, it flashes, it gets milkiness, to removing it. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started on this fender. I'm going to start here by the window line, and what I'm going to do is, it's like coloring. I'm going to trace the outside of the area that I'm applying the coating to. As you can see here, I'm using a very slow and steady motion to make sure that I'm applying the right amount of coating to the panel. Now as I come across the panel, I'm going to come down in the same motion. Now what it's going to look like, it's going to look super clear because the resin hasn't set up yet. Now you notice how I'm tracing and I'm overlapping it because I want to make sure that I don't leave any spots that didn't get the coating applied. Now we call this crosshatch. Now once I get my panel traced, I'm actually going to change my direction from horizontal to vertical. We call this crosshatch. As you can see, I'm going up and down and up and down. This ensures that I get even coverage. And people always ask me, how long should I let the coating sit for? Well, depending on where you're at, the temperature and the humidity, I will say that the hotter it is and the more humid it is, you're gonna have anywhere from 1 to 2 minutes to level it. And if you're in temperatures 80 or below Fahrenheit, probably gonna give you 3 to 4 minutes before you're actually gonna level it. Okay, so guys, make sure that you have your LED light directly facing or even at an angle so that you can actually see. So I'm gonna put this LED light to the right and then I'm gonna come across to my left. And when I do that, I can actually see where the coating is actually sitting on the finish, and you can see the patterns of the back and forth. Now what it's important to note is I actually have to wait about another minute before I can actually level. Level means remove the coating with a microfiber towel and the Gloss Enhancer Quick Detailer. Like I said before, depending on the temperature where you're at and the humidity, you're gonna have less time to remove the coating off the finish when it's above 85 degrees and you've got 70 or 80% humidity. That would be people in a warm climate like Florida or South America, or you could actually be in a major city like New York or Chicago. But right now what I'm looking at is I'm looking at the coating right now to see how it's going to flash. Flashing means how it's starting to cure or attach to the actual paint finish. Okay guys, we've got our first layer applied, and if you look at the finish now, you can actually see that it's getting pretty milky and hazy. And I just want to be clear that if you don't have Gloss Enhancer Quick Detailer and you run out, can you remove the coating with microfiber towels? The answer is yes. It's just going to take a little bit more effort and you might go through some more towels. But for this demonstration, we prefer to use the Gloss Enhancer because it just removes it a lot easier and it actually produces a better result so that you can actually get to your second layer and not spending a whole entire day coating your car. So let's get started. Here in my hand I have the Gloss Enhancer Quick Detailer. Now, when I spray this, I'm going to spray it over the coating in a fine amount. I don't need a lot of product. Here's a quick note. If you let the coating sit on, your phone rings, you had to go in the house and you forgot about the coating, I recommend that you use twice the amount of Gloss Enhancer Detail Spray to level it. I'm also going to cover in this video if you do get high or low spots on how to fix it easily within 72 hours. Okay, so I'm going to take my 80-20 towel and I'm going to go back and forth with my towel. Now, I'm not applying a lot of pressure. My pressure is what I consider to be medium or light. And the reason you see me going back and forth over the same area is because I want to make sure that I'm removing the coating 100%. Now, as the coating starts to come off, I'm actually going to flip my towel to the dry side and I'm going to rebuff. Now, one thing I want you guys to know is don't use circular motions like this. You're not waxing your car, okay? You're removing a coating. And when you do this motion, you're putting pressure with your fingertips, which could cause scratches or imperfections in the coating because the coating hasn't totally cured yet. So as you can see here, I'm tracing it back and forth on the dry side. And wow, this is amazing results. You can see this paint job is a 2001. That's over 22 years old. Looks absolutely fantastic. And now we're going to get ready and let this cure for about 15 to 20 minutes before we apply coat number 2. All right guys, we're gonna do an inspection here of this quarter panel before we put coat number 2. And the question is, how long do I wait before I can apply coat number 2? Well, that's a great question. Depending on how quick this flashes off and you remove it, sometimes I would recommend at least waiting 20 to 40 minutes. 40 minutes if it's colder, say below 65 to 75 degrees. And after we waited that, 20 to 40 minutes before a second coat, you want to inspect your block, okay? You want to make sure that the block is not hard, because if it's hard, you're going to cause damage to the coating that you just applied in the first coat. And we're going to go over coat number 2. We're going to take our DIY graphene. We're going to go in a straight line. Now again, I'm going to start at the top of the quarter. I'm going to trace my area and then I'm going to come back across. I'm going to overlap. I'm going to overlap another ½ inch so to make sure I get coverage. Come back up. Then I'm going to work down the bottom of the panel. Same across motion. Okay, so I'm working. Now I'm going to go ahead and start my crosshatch going vertical, the opposite direction. Again, keep your motion slow. And what you're going to notice is that when you're going back over the second coat, it's going to be a lot smoother. The first coat, you can actually feel the suede block kind of grabbing because it's adhering to the paint. And after we waited that, 20 to 40 minutes before a second coat, it actually created a nice smooth surface. And I like to do the crosshatch twice. So as I'm tracing my first, and I'm going from horizontal to vertical, that's one. I'm gonna do it twice. This will ensure that I'm getting the right amount of ceramic coating to the actual paint finish. Now with some colors, it's gonna be a little bit harder because with lighter colors like your silvers or pewters, it's gonna be hard to see the coating and where you put it on and where you left it off. That's why it's important that you crosshatch. Now, if you guys get it on the window or the trim, don't be concerned, because with the gloss enhancer quick detailer and the microfiber, you're going to be able to easily remove it from the adjacent panels that you got a little bit on the adjacent or the panel next to it. And the detailer is going to take it right off, so you don't have to worry about that. So let's go ahead, and I would like you to grab another new towel. Don't reuse the towel you did for the first coating. Go ahead and dispose of that. We're going to grab our gloss enhancer quick detailer, and we're going to remove the second coat. Now, what it's important to note is I actually have to wait about another minute before I can actually level. Level means remove the coating with a microfiber towel and the gloss enhancer quick detailer. Hey guys, I'm taking a look at the coating. This is our second layer or second coat, and we're ready to go ahead and remove it. I've got myself a brand new microfiber 80/20 towel. I've got the gloss enhancer quick detailer. So let's get started and start to remove it. As you guys can see, I'm putting a generous amount of detail spray because I want to make sure that I remove the graphene ceramic coating, and I make sure I don't leave any high or low spots. Again, I'm going to use a slow arm speed across, left to right, overlapping. Now it's coming off much easier than the first coat. You guys will notice as you remove the second coat, it's going to be a lot easier to get the SiO2 off the finish. And the solvent that we use in the DIY graphene is probably the most user-friendly solvent to work with a SiO2 ceramic resin on the market. And if it was good enough for Steve Wynn's LaFerrari, it's good enough for your car. So now I'm going to flip the towel to the dry side. Keep the arm speed slow, back and forth. I can see that most of the coating is gone. I am going to take my light at different angles to make sure that I don't have any high or low spots. Super important that you use a good LED light when you're doing this. And I don't recommend doing this in direct sunlight because the solvent and the SiO2 will dry too quickly. So let me go ahead and take my LED light and do an inspection. Looks great. And like I said, again, you want to make sure that you check your panel, that you got all the ceramic off the finish before moving on to your next panel. And next we're going to talk about aftercare. How do I maintain a ceramic coating and what are the steps required? Okay guys, now we've got our second layer down. Can you put more layers of ceramic coating? Absolutely. The other question is, how many coats can I actually put on a car, and is there a diminishing return? We've noticed that anything more than 3 coats of ceramic, it's not going to be different than 5 or 6. In fact, you could have issues with it not being stable. The other thing that we need to cover right now is talk about, aftercare. Now, aftercare is really important. Just like when you go to the dentist, you get your teeth cleaned, you want to make sure you brush your teeth every day. It doesn't mean you don't have to clean your teeth. Ceramic coating is the same. You must wash your car. It's really important. Don't run it through tunnel car washes. Why? Because those brushes contain dirt and debris from other cars, and it's going to actually scratch your coating. I recommend you go to our YouTube channel and watch some of our hand washing or foam cannon or foam gun videos. Ceramic coating is super easy to clean, and when it's maintained correctly, it's a beautiful thing. It's a lot less maintenance, and it's easy to care for. Now, we do make a ceramic detail spray here at Glossit. It was on the Van Wiki offer that we did on the LaFerrari. This is a water-based product with SiO2. It's a water-based SiO2 that we've combined. Every time you go to clean your ceramic coating, it is actually recharging, right? Or re-glossing. It's maintaining gloss retention. This is a great product. You don't need a lot of product. And the other thing is, when you ceramic coat your vehicle, you don't need to wash it as often. There are 2 types of cleaning. There's dusty dirty and there's gritty dirty. And if you know how to dust your car, and I don't recommend a California duster, but use a good microfiber towel, and I'm going to show you a little bit of aftercare here because it's important as part of the coating process. Anytime you have dust in the car, and let's say the next day you want to do another wipe down of the car, you want to make sure that you take the towel in one direction and you get the dust off. Why? Because the dust is sitting on top of the surface, can be abrasive, it can cause damage. So you always want to make sure that you dust your surface off first, right? And always fold your towel into a square, right? A lot of people will take their towel and they'll bunch it up and they'll have a wet, dry, and they'll say, hey, the product is streaking or hazing. Number 2, you don't need a lot of product. Less is more. So let's do a quick demo. It just works like detail spray with the ceramic. I'm gonna fold my towel in a square. I'm gonna open up to the fan position on my bottle. And I wanna actually show you how much product you're actually going to need in order to clean a section. See how little product I used? You're gonna use one side wet, you're gonna spread it out the whole section, and then as you start to see it evaporate, you're gonna flip your towel over to the dry side and you're gonna rebuff. Now the ceramic detail spray is fantastic because it has a cleaner, it has real SI2 in it, it's actually gonna extend the durability and it's gonna help maintain that ceramic coating in your finish. Okay guys, now we've completed our second layer of the graphene ceramic coating. We've done an inspection and I did find a high spot. I talked about this in the video. If you step away from the car and you don't get the coating off quick enough, you do have about a 72-hour window where you can take a light polish and you can actually level it. It's not that hard to do, especially because the coating is not fully cured out in direct sunlight or UV light. So I do recommend our 2000 cut finish. This is a very nice finish that we use for removing light imperfections and light swirl marks, and it actually works excellent by hand also. All right guys, go ahead, let's get started to remove that high spot. So I'm gonna take a little bit of 2000 cut finish polish. I'm gonna apply it to a clean microfiber applicator. As you can see, I'm just rubbing it in. And the high spot's right in this area, so I'm gonna go ahead in a back and forth motion. Do not use circles to remove the high spot because the coating is still curing. So go ahead left to right, overlapping. And I would make about 4 to 6 passes in this small area. Then I'm gonna take my Gloss Enhancer Quick Detailer. I'm gonna grab a microfiber towel and I'm gonna go ahead and spray a fine mist of detail spray. I'm gonna take my microfiber towel and I'm gonna use the left to right motion. And as you can see, we have taken the high spot right off. Again, the myth in the industry is that if you get high or low spot while doing coating, it's gonna be a nightmare to get off the finish. It's not true with our coatings. This could be true with other coatings, but we spent a lot of time building this coating so that it didn't fully harden in the first few hours. Like I said, you have 72 hours to remove it. As you can see here in the panel, we got perfection again. We did not remove the first layer of coating. I do recommend if this does happen, go ahead and reapply another layer to this area and make sure you remove it. Again, use LED lights. So guys, I hope today this video was helpful and we solved some of the myths about how difficult it is to ceramic coating a car. The truth is 95% of a professional job is in the polishing and the correction, and the coating is the last part. It's really not that hard. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to visit us on YouTube at glossit.tv, Instagram, TikTok, and Snapchat. We'll see you guys soon.